demanding a stake in whatever development is underway. Business forums are allowed to exist and the Constitution permits that. But how should they conduct themselves and how are they regulated? Well, let's speak to Gerhard Potgieter from Comprac in Gauteng and Kganki Matabane from the Black Business Council. Good evening, morning to both of you. Thanks very much for your time. Let me start with you, Gerhard, if I may. Explain, to us, if you will, just the phenomenon known as the construction mafia and how it affects safety regulation, especially in the construction industry.
Well, you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that have not had a contact with some form of this phenomena on a construction site. But they do not come in it's not a uniform approach that is taken by these forums. Sometimes they approach the construction company to act as a labor broker from the to get labor from the local community. Some of them would approach and be a business broker for wanting subcontracts for some of the trades on the construction project. And then obviously there's some of them that just want to cut off the project value monetary-wise in order to protect the site, as they would claim.
Many of them, of course, Kganki, come under the guise of being business forums or business organizations or people who want a sake for local communities and the like. Okay, it looks like we have. I hope you heard me and you're able to speak, Kganki.
Yeah, I lost you a little bit there towards the end.
I was saying, some of them come or disguise as business forums or branches or formations that belong to broader or bigger business organizations.
Yes, good morning to you and good morning to the viewers. Maybe just to give you a bit of history. So most of this construction mafia started some time ago, around 6-7 years ago, when the National Treasury passed a regulations that were basically saying 30% of the business must be given to SMEs or local, almost like a more localization of some sort. And we met with the National Treasury at that time, and we warned them that this, if it's not done properly, is going to get the country into trouble. And then around the same time, we were approached mainly from KZN by these forums, and then we had engagements with them, and we realized that they're not necessarily business organizations. They are mafias, and we told them, we can't work with you. You can't join the BBC because BBC is advocating for the greater good of all businesses. Because for them, they were saying, if you are building a school at a certain township, only the local people can participate. And we told them that is even short-sighted, because at any given moment, one community will need one school. Which means that if you are in business, you build one school, you can't go and build in another community because the next community will behave the same way. So it means the black businesses will never grow. You'll only be limited to one locality, and then that's it. And we told them now that this thing can work. And then we even had engagements with the Minister of Police then to say, Minister, we see this danger, you need to nip it in the bud. Because if you don't do that, this thing is going to graduate, because when people don't see enough deterrent, they even chance takers come and say, but people are benefiting and there are no consequences, no one gets arrested, so everyone else must do it. So I think government made a very big mistake by not nipping it in the bud at that time, because now it has even graduated to petty criminals coming to people's houses and demanding pensions for the old age people and all those type of things. And we're only now seeing in KZN that the government is taking it serious, because criminals when you have deterrent mechanisms, you show them if you do these things, there are consequences. They will also stop. But I think it is a little bit too late, but we hope government can still recover.
Does it not, Gerhard, also compromise safety regulations, safety in construction of whatever project?
It definitely does. Occupational health and safety and in the construction sector have been established as an academic field with a lot of research done into the factors that influence the safety of the workers on the site. And the accommodation of these groupings does require you to circumnavigate the theories on how to keep the workers safe to accommodate them.
Now, I mean, Kganki, one wonders how then this problem is affecting competent, legitimate businesses.
It negatively affects the competent ones because you may have seen them. They are always been guarded by security people with huge guns. So they are intimidating even normal businesses. And what also happens, this encourages or the other consequences that this makes projects very, very expensive, because what business people have decided to do, because initially when they were reporting this to police would just dismiss them. They will then cost the 30% into projects, which then means that projects become very expensive, and ultimately it means that the end users are going to be charged more. So we I think we really have to find a way to deal with this, because it cannot be business as usual. It also discourages people or investors from other countries who want to invest here, because you are saying, but I come and bid for a contract and build a bridge, but I may not even be able to have access to my bridge unless I pay some people. And then also because it's also to say the least, is a messy situation amongst themselves. Today you'll be approached by this one and say, I'm representing the community. You give them money. The following day there's another group that comes from the same community, because then they become splinters of themselves. So the long-term solution is not to budget for this type of things, but to deal with them from a law enforcement agency's point of view, to disrupt them, deal with them, and make sure that at the end of the day, we don't have anyone who's a construction mafia. People must do business in a proper way.
I mean, Gerhard, of course, this is all hypothetical. I'm trying to imagine an engineer or a safety officer at a construction site, right, having to enforce rules, right, and getting people to do what is right, and being told by this entitled thug with a devil-may-care attitude where to get off.
Quite right. The academic theory behind it, and obviously the occupational health and safety legislation behind it, all requires a process of pre-vetting and pre-management with engineering controls in order to keep the people working on the construction site safe. Now, one of the main measures of controlling this is by preventing work from starting or excluding people from certain areas, which becomes difficult if you have to do it under threat of violence, which then puts the worker that is holding the shovel at risk, and not necessarily the business forum people that is trying to enact this will of theirs.
I mean, Kganki, we've seen quite a number of arrests recently as people start to focus on this problem. But do you think that our law enforcement agencies have the wherewithal to actually deal with the people who really who are behind this? Because it would seem, certainly in a number of cases we've been reporting on recently, that essentially it's the smaller guys who are that get arrested and get to appear in the courts, but not the people thought to be the main O's behind all of this.
Yeah, you're right. The challenge there is corruption, and we've seen in other provinces where the police will bring different people from different provinces to deal with the issue, because they're sort of suspecting that the local police people, the local law enforcement agencies are part of this. They've been corrupted into the system. Hence, you see not only the big, you don't see the big fishes, or you only see the small fries being arrested. But having said that, we've got confidence in police that the police, if they put all the efforts in dealing with this matter, they should be able to deal with it by deterring methods, by also arresting people. But where people are brazen in trying to shoot the police, they must also shoot those people, and then the consequences be dire. So when that is intensified, people will realize that, no, I can't do this anymore, because my chances of succeeding are very, very, very low. So it's important. We are also involved. We're working with the police to try and report these cases, because when the police were not taking action, people were very reluctant to report, because you report and maybe you reported to the very same police person who's involved through corruption with the same mafia, and they go and tell them that no, so and so has reported. So we are in favor of this method where police are bringing people from other provinces to do investigations and to do arrests, because at least there's no familiarity there. By the time the people are trying to bribe the new police people or the new law enforcement agencies, a lot of them will have been arrested.
Is there any evidence, Gerhard, that the construction industry is dealing with this matter differently, whether as a way of coping with what they are experiencing, but also protecting their businesses, their reputations, and of course their infrastructure?
The construction industry, or the construction companies, does put certain measures in place to try and manage the occurrences. Unfortunately, everything comes at a cost. The measures that they have to implement needs to be financially provided for, which, as your other guests have said, adds to the cost of the projects, which eventually is passed over onto the client. The more measures are having to put in place by the construction company, the more the cost is increased. But at the end of the day, they are treating a symptom. Them as private individuals can't treat the cause of the occurrence.
Well, hopefully our law enforcement agencies are up to the task and will deal with it for the because, I mean, you can only imagine the consequences of you building this school or building that could collapse because safety has been compromised. Gerhard, thank you very much.